So talk about, and I think this is a good lead in from what you've explained before, because, some of what you've explained is that this is a Wild West, regulation may be around the corner. There certainly are unscrupulous people in this business. And like you said, dealing with people that are very susceptible, very impressionable, and also forgotten people. Drug addicts and people with mental health issues make up a tremendous amount of our homeless, right? And they're forgotten people. Well, I think the same ones that aren't homeless, that maybe just because they have shelter, are still suffering with the same problems, are also forgotten people.
Right.
So it makes sense. So those seem like some kind of down situations, but the way you explained it, you seem to have optimism. So it's perfect going into the next question, which is talk about the future and optimism as what you call as a strategy.
Yes.
And explain what that means. Optimism as a strategy in this field.
So it's very easy to be cynical and to be sarcastic and to focus on all the negative. I mean, there's a ton of bad actors, bad characters, just people that aren't doing the right thing, and they're exploiting families at their most vulnerable. And I learned a long time ago that you have to remain optimistic when it comes to a disease, because the disease itself is systemic, which means that it's not just the individual that you're treating, but you're treating possibly a whole generation. You're treating a whole family. Now, thank goodness, it's in the public conscious. So you're treating politics. You're treating educational policy and change, and all of that. So in saying that, I have remained optimistic despite all the battle scars, despite all the downtime. And the reason that it's a strategy is it's not like I'm sitting here with this pie in the sky attitude, like, oh, everything is wonderful, everything is rainbows and unicorns and all that other stuff. That's not the case. That's not what it is. But what it is that there's hope. There's really smart people in the industry today. There's breakthroughs right now that are happening. In the news right now, people of color are getting the attention that they deserve. I hope that it translates into better services in these rural areas, in these urban areas. That's an example of using optimism as a strategy. So what I would do is, what do you do? How do you help these folks that haven't been able to access services? So that's a collective effort. That takes both the state level and the government level to collaborate to come up with a system that works, whether that's more money being allocated to certain places, whether that's some of the leaders, the political leaders, actually making mental health and addiction an issue rather than just giving lip service to it. But I just look at the thought leaders in this industry, and I remain optimistic. I see families getting better, and talking to each other, and I see how they're improving. I'll give you an example. I think COVID shrank the world. I think that these Zoom meetings and these get-togethers and this teletherapy that's going on, I think it's fantastic. I think people are, I don't want to say forced, but it's providing a platform that I don't think was there anymore. It's bringing to light that people are in isolation and they're depressed and they're anxious and they're using drugs and all this other stuff. I think it's great. I think that idea and that's happening, where people are pausing and they're being a little bit more compassionate and maybe a little bit more empathetic to the next person. Again, it's optimistic. I feel that. So I take those good feelings and I put it into a strategy, right? So I say to myself, okay, what can I do in the small corner, you know, in the southeast corner of the United States. Number one, what can I do? So I use all of my knowledge and all of my resources and my license and my skills to impact people in a positive way. That's number one. Number two is, who do I know? So I start to reach out and talk to these people and have the same conversations. Now, when I say people that I know, it could be colleagues and coworkers, and it could be financial partners, but it's also all these students. I'm having conversations with students around the country about these particular issues. I'm having conversations with patients about, well, what do you want? What do you want to see happen? And when you have a united front like that, when you have people working together, change actually occurs. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, it's this section of society for us has been forgotten for a very, very long time. You know, it's not so long ago that the mentally ill were called aliens.
Right.
Psychologists were called alienists.